Starting with a summary of the project, the story follows a kid, bored at home, who gets the sudden idea of embarking on a new adventure, traversing the local forest using his umbrella to fly. The animation features the kid's journey, beginning from the moment he's bored, coming up with his ingenious idea, and planting checkpoints throughout the forest park. Moving on to environment style versus the character. The environments consist of hand-painted backgrounds with the Maya animated boy to reflect the whimsical and imaginative tone of a child embarking on an adventure. The vibrant, painterly backgrounds evoke a storybook-like charm, aligning with the youthful, dreamlike perspective of the film, while the bold outlines around the animated characters create a sticker-like effect, further emphasizing the storybook aesthetic. The method of combining 2D stylized environments and 3D was referenced from current stylized movies, including the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, The Bad Guys, and Spider-Verse, all of which contained hand-painted, scribble-like textures mixed with Maya animated characters for a toonified tone. In terms of animation style, post-to-pose animation was used to establish key poses that capture the main movements, ensuring a grounded structure before refining the details. I used keyframes for main action and added in-betweens for precise timing and capturing subtle details such as weight shifts and body mechanics, which enhanced the realism of the character. Some parts of the animation incorporated step animation for fast-paced sequences. This was referenced from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which helped create a stylized effect. This enhanced the harmony between the animated character and the textured illustrated backgrounds as well. Useful resources and tools found. The first is Gumroad, CG Trader, and TurboSquid for ready-made models that are compatible with Maya. And I used YouTube videos to know how to create customly shaped controllers, which will help in creating color-coded and uniquely shaped controller shapes. Procreate was used for the hand-drawn backgrounds, and Premiere Pro was used for integrating the hand-drawn environment backdrops with the Maya animated character. Moving on to the problems I faced during the animation. The first problem was that the clothes that are atop the body would intersect near the shoulders, resulting in skin gaps being visible atop the clothes. The pants, they wouldn't stretch along with the body in the exact same way, so the character's bottom was visible for some scenes. The solution I utilized was using extreme angles, like having the head cover the majority of the chest to hide the skin gaps in the shoulder region, and primarily showing the torso and above to hide the pant rips in some scenes. And for the scenes that occurred after the character placed the checkpoint, I kept the skin gaps on the clothes as they looked like the character had been worn out from putting all the checkpoints in the forest, which worked well with the story. The second problem I faced was in some poses, like having the arms lifted up, caused the sleeves to create artifacts below the armpits. It looked abnormal, but I still wanted to animate the body movement, so I opted for a less extreme pose for some of the shots, while other shots I had switched the camera angle to hide the weird sticking out blobs. The third problem I faced was the character would stretch when I tried rotating him using the master controller. A solution I found was using the camera itself to act as if the character was rotating, and I would animate this on once since that worked best with the animation and that helped fake the rotation that way. The final problem was as I animated in the timeline, the character's body would incrementally stretch and flatten over time in the timeline, looking extremely janky at the end due to missing areas during weight painting process. The solution I opted to have was each animated scene be in separate Maya files and render each on their own. It made rendering faster and it ensured I had a version of each shot saved as opposed to having it all in one Maya file. I then combined all the footage afterwards in Premiere Pro for a full animation. For my reflections on what I learned throughout the term, as I was fighting to use the rig, oftentimes I would lose track of what the original pose I was trying to animate was due to trying to find creative ways and alternatives for animating basic movement, which drained a lot of my energy. Having the animatic on hand helped me remember the pose I was initially going for, reshifting my focus again. Also, for scenes that fell off in 3D, I often looked back at the animatic and directly compared it with the 3D animation itself, and it would show what parts I had missed. Having proper skeleton before weight painting detriments rigs. Previously, I had thought a good skeleton and proper controllers is what constituted a polished rig, but it turns out that weight painting was the primary factor. And I found out that if I have a good skeleton, a good retopoed mesh, but poor weight painting, the model would look uncanny and it would deform unnaturally. Also, if there's half-decent topology but solid weight painting, it would hide the mistake of the topology oftentimes. My thoughts on the 3D character animation pipeline. For the first question of what makes a good rig and character animation, good rigs require clean topology, properly aligned joint constraints, smooth weight painting, and IK/FK setups tailored to the specific animation need. Animations should start from solid references or animatics, and this ensures strong posing, clear timing, and fluid movement in the 3D animation. For what tools do we have and how do we use them? Tools like the joint tool, IK/FK handles, and the paint skin weights are crucial, but they require significant manual input and expertise to avoid errors. For the question, what are we missing? I figured out that weight painting remains a bottleneck due to its manual nature, often leading to deformation issues. Clothing and accessory rigging lack automation, requiring redundant work to match underlying body weights. How can we improve? Automation and AI-driven tools could address these potential pain points like weight painting and deformation artifact detection. Reflection on the process, the animation pipeline has evolved to handle complex projects, but its manual components still create barriers for beginners and teams under tight deadlines, and I discovered that in this project. The future lies in creating more intuitive tools and workflows, enabling artists to focus on creativity rather than troubleshooting technical issues and having their animation be hindered due to technical issues as well. In terms of the standards of a good character rig and animation, a clean, well-paced reference or animatic helps give a solid foundation to build the 3D animation off of. Good topology ensures that the model bends in an understandable manner, not having artifacts, avoiding unnatural creasing or distortion from uneven polygon distribution. Lining up the constraints of the joints to have the controllers manipulate the bones in the proper orientation helps avoid any controller instabilities, unexpected joint behavior with the rig, and prevent animation drifts. Having smooth skin weight painting helps avoid unusual mesh stretching, unpredictable skin binding behavior, and avoiding the mesh looking like cut up pieces of paper. The last is determining which areas of the body you want to have IK or FK depending on the specific animation purposes. An example would be, since mine had a lot of run cycles, I needed lots of IK for legs, and for animations that require swinging motions with an object would mean that you would want to have FK for arms. In terms of tools that we have for character rigging and how some of them are used in the project, I use the joint tool to create the skeletal structure of the character, ensuring proper alignment of joints, especially for the arms, legs, spine, and fingers to avoid unexpected joint behavior during the animation. Skin binding was used to attach the mesh to the skeleton, enabling deformation. Combining this with weight painting helped achieve smooth and realistic movement, avoiding issues like creases or unnatural stretching. The paint skin weights tool was crucial for fine-tuning the influences of joints on the mesh and helped resolve issues like hard lines and flattening by redistributing weights and resetting problems using the flood tool. The IK handle tool was used for inverse kinematics on the legs to maintain grounded foot placement for natural stable leg movement, which was critical for my animation since it had lots of walking and running. FK setup was implemented on the arms to achieve fluid arcs and smooth gestures for animating the umbrella interactions and expressive arm motions. Custom controllers were used as well, where I highlighted the parent controllers using yellow. Upper body controllers had a rib-like shape, and having a master controller that moved the entire model was used for repositioning, although it didn't work for rotation. Driver editor was used to add torso and shoulder twists and rolls. And in terms of the things that are missing in my current animation pipeline, a way to code weight painting or a method that scans the character model and the armature created and creates a smooth gradient between the joints. This would have solved lots of issues involved in manually weight painting the model, which include accidentally coloring faces of neighboring body parts like the fingers, and not having a smooth gradient between the joints, and having blotchy areas that were missed. Having a way to automatically map the clothes to the body's weight paints as opposed to manually painting them again and accidentally missing spots using code or some sort of add-on would have helped a lot in Maya. If I plan on extending this animated short, having facial rigging would probably be a next step. This animation didn't involve facial expressions. For the future, it could be considered. In terms of my suggestions for improving the current animation pipeline, the first would be automated weight painting tools. So this includes developing or incorporating AI-based tools that can intelligently generate smooth weight gradients between the joints based on the mesh topology, eliminating manual painting errors and speeding up the rigging process. Clothing simulation integration. So introducing a system within Maya that automatically maps clothing weights to an underlying body rig for seamless movement, preventing issues like skin gaps or unnatural stretching and doing repeated work. Enhanced rigging tools. Having a UI-based drag and drop system for designing and assigning shapes, colors, and constraints directly within the software for controllers will help a lot. Real-time deformation feedback in the Maya viewport mode that displays deformation feedback in real time while weight painting or posing would make it a lot easier to spot and correct artifacts immediately. Streamed skin binding for multi-layered meshes. So introducing advanced skin binding options in Maya for layered characters like clothing, and all the layers would deform consistently with the base rig. Physics-driven automation, so incorporating physics-based simulation within Maya for secondary motions like hair and clothes directly into the rigging and animation process would help save time and improve realism. That is all for the video for today. Thank you for watching.